but I can distinctly feel when I do the molecular hydrogen in the water, and when I take it, it's like, doom. Right, like it's almost like a shot of coffee.
Well, no, in fact, there's a pound per pound head-to-head study that they did, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, on caffeine and molecular hydrogen on college students who were sleep deprived, and the molecular hydrogen responded almost just as well as drinking caffeine for those that were sleep
basically
deprived.
It's a non-inferiority effect. It's better to dissolve it in the water and then drink it, because you want the hydrogen gas to go into your stomach, and that's going to be absorbed into through your intestines, into the portal vein, to the liver, into the bloodstream, and so on. That's the powerful thing about hydrogen. It has residual protective effects for at least 24 hours. It propagates
the effects.
Right.
Yeah.
Like so you build upon the effects, right?
What is the legitimacy behind these molecular water-infused bottles? What would be the optimal way from Tyler's perspective after all the research you've done? And let's debunk if these bottles are safe and even worth it. Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of Beyond Biohacking Brothers, where we explore everything about longevity, optimization, biohacking, and beyond. As always, I'm joined today by my brother Carlos, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of interviewing Tyler LeBaron, who holds a PhD and is one of the world's most renowned experts in molecular hydrogen research and its therapeutic benefits. As the founder and executive director of the Molecular Hydrogen Institute, aka MHI, like us, Tyler has dedicated his career to innovating studies on hydrogen's role on oxidative stress, inflammation, and cellular signaling, which solidifies his reputation as a total badass in molecular medicine.
Yeah, baby.
And a fun fact, he's a professional arm wrestler and a marathon runner, or...
Well, I mean, professionals, I guess, subjective, but those are hobbies that I do enjoy. I just picked up arm wrestling, but my whole life I've been actually running marathons. But yeah, I like arm wrestling.
Stay tuned. I'm gonna challenge him to an arm bar.
Boy.
Not arm bar.
No,
that's
arm
me
bar.
jiu-jitsu.
Hey, we can do that.
I do jiu-jitsu, so
I want no part of this.
Yeah. So if you beat me, then you're going after my brother. Right back to back, okay? Mm-hmm. So Tyler, you're widely regarded as one of the world's top experts in molecular hydrogen. Can you share how you first discovered the potential of this molecule and what inspired you to deep dive into the research?
Yeah, great question. So I came across alkaline ionized water back in 2009. And there were so many people talking about all these benefits. You know, you look it up and on the research, and there are actually some publications. They called it electrolyzed reduced water. But the question was, how is this possible that would have any benefits? And, well, one of the questions was, well, does it have any benefits? So I actually did a study. This was right when I first started my studies at the university. I did a study, and I found that it did have some benefits. So the question is, how is it possible? And as you think about it, when you do electrolysis of water, you make hydrogen gas, because that's the definition of electrolysis, right? The decomposition of hydrogen gas, of water, to hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. So then I started looking at, well, maybe hydrogen gas has some therapeutic effects, right? Well, you put that into PubMed, and you find a number of articles, and at the time there was about 50 or so publications, and one of them in particular was an article published in Nature Medicine. And I remember
which is one of the most reputable
that's right.
Scientific journals.
Scientific journals.
Yeah,
Cell Science, Nature.
Exactly, yeah. Top tier journal. And I remember I was in the office of my biochemistry professor at the time, and he had that article printed off, and he put it on his desk in front of me and said, you know, Tyler, I think there's something here. And when he said that, I literally felt something inside of me saying, I need to research this. Because hydrogen gas is so simple to administer. It's so simple to get, to consume, it's safe. It's all these things. And if it can have these types of benefits, then why would I not want to do this? Yeah, right. And maybe to talk about those benefits just quickly, in this specific study, it's a very elegant study. What they did, it was a model of a stroke, basically. And they cut the blood supply to the brain in this rat, and then that of course caused lots of brain damage. And then that's called the ischemia damage. And then
Is it necrosis or something? It's
Ischemia.
called when ischemia. Sorry.
Ischemia, yes, ischemia. And then when the blood goes back to the brain, that's a reperfusion injury.
Okay.
And that's because of oxygen-rich blood goes back to all the cells, and they cause lots of oxidative damage and inflammation and so on. So in this study, when they administered just 4% or 2% hydrogen gas, which is below the flammability level, because otherwise it's clinically dangerous, right? So very small percent of hydrogen gas. But you can look at these images, and hydrogen gas administration essentially prevented the brain damage induced by this middle cerebral arterial collision, or
It prevented it?
It prevented, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there was still damage, of course, but you can distinctly tell the differences. And then further, they then took the hydrogen gas and dissolved it into cell culture media. And then added some stressors to create oxidative stress, and they found that hydrogen gas was very effective at selectively. It's going to keyword selectively reducing the most toxic
Oxidative radicals, right.
Exactly.
So it chooses the most.
Yeah, I
damaging.
mean, it's easy to say it chooses. There's a reason why we can get into, but this is what made me feel like I want to study this.
Right. So that was your aha moment?
That was my initial aha moment. Like this is what gave me the power, the energy, the passion to really get behind this and research and study and understand it.
As a game changer for health and longevity.
There was another one too that happened later on, but this is the first thing that really made me feel like I need to research this because I still didn't understand the full potential yet. That happened after I went to Japan.
Wow. Okay.
What happened there?
Yeah. What happened there?
Okay. Well, so
that's not too long.
Well, what I did though is, as I looked at all the research articles, and I realized that this research, most of this is happening in Japan at the time.
Okay.
And so for my internship, which is biochemistry, I decided to go to Japan and do research on hydrogen gas. And it was there when I was researching molecular hydrogen in the Department of Neurogenetics at Nagoya University that I was able to see with my own eyes the effects of hydrogen gas on various cell signaling pathways. And I was able to meet other...
Meaning you're looking at a cell.
Yeah, or doing cell culture work, for example. Right. So we could literally see this, or
the
animal
effect
studies.
It's having on the cells.
So you're seeing this under the microscope.
Depending on like if we're looking at like histology type things or whatever, but I'm just saying being in the laboratory and we do like a Western blot analysis where you can see specific changes in the protein expression after treatment of molecular hydrogen, right? Yeah. But as well as just meeting other top tier researchers, because there was a group of researchers in Japan that were starting this, including the very authors of that 2000 Nature Medicine publication.
Wow. Cool.
So I was able to meet
kind
them.
of like full circle.
Exactly. It was amazing. I was able to meet them, have dinner with them, and talk to them, be in the laboratory and see these things. And that's when I realized this is a real academic field. And that's what made me really feel like, hey, no, I am going to really start this. So when I came back home, this is 2013, when I came back from Japan, I started a website called the Molecular Hydrogen Institute.
Yeah, baby, inspired by MHI, Medical Health Institute.
So that was my
that's very cool.
Why I started, because I wanted to just focus on the education and the research and the awareness of molecular hydrogen. So at the time it was just a website, and then later we converted it into a 501c3 science-based nonprofit with that mission of advancing the research, the education, and the awareness of hydrogen as a therapeutic medical gas.
And how old are you?
Yeah, he's 37.
37.
Man.
Oh man.
Yeah. When did you start the MHI?
Yeah, so in 2013.
2013. Oh, we started 2015. Look at
So
that.
you were inspired by our
I was
MHI.
inspired. Sorry.
So you were 23 years old. 25 years old.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Genius
Congrats.
brain, man.
2009 is when I got introduced to this, and then 2013 is when I decided, no, we're going to educate the world on this.
Very
started
cool,
the
man.
website.
That's awesome, man.
So the Molecular Hydrogen Institute has become the global leader in hydrogen research, at least for me. What makes it the go resource for the latest breakthroughs in this field?
Well, first I want to say that I wouldn't say we're the global leaders per se, other than because we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? And we have, as part of our MHI advisors, some of the leading researchers in this field. Like we're just trying to be a messenger to put this research out, right? We're trying to give this information that other researchers have already done, and so this is why it's a great resource for people to go, because they can go onto the website and see our database. They can see so many publications of the human studies, different types of studies, different organs that have been studied, different disease models that have been studied, and so on. They can go through all these things, as well as just normal education. That lots of articles that are just breaking it down to layman's terms about what is hydrogen in the first place. How does this even work? Why does it work? What are the potential consequences
and applications?
Applications and so on.
Well, I hope by the end of this podcast you become a for-profit research as well, because a guy like you, with the amount of time you put into this, it's well-deserved to trust on a product, specifically molecular hydrogen, that's made by somebody who's put the research into it, man. So kudos to you on that. At MHI, we recognize the importance of mental sharpness and managing stress. That's why we're thrilled to introduce NewCalm.
NewCalm offers an extraordinary system designed to naturally calm your body and your mind. By harnessing key principles in neuroscience and state-of-the-art technology, NewCalm uses electrical signals to send essential nutrients to your brain, providing a drug-free solution to effectively combat stress, improve sleep, enhance recovery, and mental performance.
Visit the MHI Recommend section on our website to discover more about NewCalm and get your exclusive discount code today. For now, stay healthy
And God bless.
Thank you.
So for somebody hearing about molecular hydrogen for the first time, how would you explain its role in cellular health in the most simple terms possible?
Yeah, so I think when we understand about molecular hydrogen, there's a couple of physical properties about it that are helpful. For example, it is the smallest molecule in the universe.
Yeah.
And we know that if anything's going to benefit your body, it has to first get into the body and then get into the cell, right?
And to the nucleus too.
And potentially into the nucleus, where free radical damage can occur and damage your DNA. Well, hydrogen gas, being the smallest molecule, can penetrate the biomembranes easier than anything else. Right. So it has the highest bioavailability to get through the cell, into the mitochondria, the nucleus, and so on. And then it can exert its effects.
And it just gets rid of, I guess, the oxidative stress of what slows down the machinery for everything else.
Yeah, that's one of the things that it does. So it's going to help with areas of oxidative stress, but it's going to regulate that, because we find that diseases and aging is not a matter of just oxidative distress, but it's really redox dysregulation.
Redox dysregulation.
Yeah.
And cellular redox, guys, is the pro-inflammatory oxidants and the anti-inflammatory oxidants.
Yeah.
Or is the balance?
Well,
cellular redox, the way I understand, is the balance of
yes.
reactive oxygen species.
Technically, it's a homeostasis.
Right. Sorry, homeostasis.
And there's a crosstalk between inflammation and oxidative stress, right?
Okay.
And so you want to have a certain number of oxidants. You always have to have this, and you want to have a certain number of antioxidants, and they're going to have a homeostasis between this. Right. And aging is characterized, as well as many diseases, by a dyshomeostasis of these, where you have a dysregulation. Mm-hmm. And in fact, even in the exact same cell, you can have a dysregulation. So, for example, in the cytosol, there can be an excessive amount of oxidation going on, and now you're damaging your macromolecules and having all sorts of problems.
The cytosol is what part of the cell?
The
cytoplasm, you mean?
Yeah, the cytoplasm.
Okay,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
It's called cytosol as well?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the inner fluid that holds everything together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
Then you have other compartments, such as the endoplasmic reticulum, let's say.
Right, which packages proteins.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, no, that's the good. Yeah,
okay.
Folds the
patches protein and makes lipids.
And when it does that, by folding the proteins, it needs to have a certain amount of oxidative power in order to fold the proteins correctly, like like making disulfide bridges and so on. Mm-hmm. And if with aging, you can potentially lose the amount of oxidizing power that you need. And then you're going to have problems. So with this cell can be suffering from oxidative stress in one compartment and reductive stress in another compartment.
Okay.
And hydrogen is not simply a conventional antioxidant. It's a redox regulator. Right. So it's going to help to maintain the homeostasis of whatever that cell needs. If it doesn't need anything because it's already at homeostasis, then it's perfect. Right. Otherwise, it's going to help.
It won't even utilize it. It'll just dump it.
Yeah, well, it still has some effects on the gene expression and some other areas, but it's not
healthier expression then.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
But it's not going to, for example, decrease oxidation when it doesn't need to be decreased, because that is harmful, and we see that when we talk.
So it's almost like a modulator.
Yes, it's a modulator.
Yeah. It's like a valve that regulates it. That's why it's also very dangerous to take boatloads of antioxidants, because you can create an imbalance of this oxidative balance that you need.
Yeah, that's right. And that's a very key point, and that's why hydrogen is distinct and different from all other types of antioxidants,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of clinical research that has been shown that taking high doses of these synthetic antioxidants has these very problems where they actually enhance mortality, right? And increase a lot of exercise. We all like to exercise here.
Yeah.
Well, there's a number of studies that have shown that by taking high doses of antioxidants will mitigate or blunt the benefits of exercise training.
Wow.
Because
You need that oxidative stress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you exercise, you
You need that inflammatory response that creates some oxidation that is a natural pathway for the body.
again, inflammatory response and oxidative stress, right? Those are two separate things, but they work hand in
Yeah.
hand. And yes, antioxidants, if you negate these oxidative stress that you occur, then you do not get the signal you need to form the ideal adaptations that you would otherwise want, such as improved mitochondria or more insulin sensitivity and so on.
Right.
And these high dose of antioxidants can negate that. That's very problematic. Hydrogen gas does not have that effect. In fact, it can potentiate the benefits of exercise training. We published a paper in the Canadian Journal of Physiology and Pharmacology showing that hydrogen is not a typical free radical scavenger, but rather it's more of a mitohormetic redox regulator.
Mitohormetic.
Redox regulator.
So
let's break that down.
It's causing mitochondrial hormetic stress.
Yeah, so hormesis, yes.
Hormesis?
So it's a hormesis, so hormesis pathway,
What
right?
doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There's a certain stress.
In the mitochondria.
Right.
All right, most specifically in the mitochondria.
Wow.
And it is going to be a regulator of this because, for example, if you were to add a stress and then you keep on adding the stress, eventually it's toxic.
Yeah.
Hydrogen gas doesn't do that. Right. So if the stress is already stressed, we've seen this in studies. If we add like hydrogen peroxide, for example, now it's stressed. Well, if you add another stressor, you can kill the cell.
Yeah.
If you add hydrogen gas, you protect the cell from the hydrogen peroxide. Okay, but hydrogen gas is able to give a little bit of stress to the mitochondria, and by so doing, it induces the rejuvenation of the mitochondria by inducing UPRMT or the mitochondrial unfolded protein response, and in so doing that.
So within the mitochondria, you still have folding proteins.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
it was just within the cell. So
inside the mitochondria,
yeah,
there's a lot
They're
of
neatly being folded.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me if this pitch is wrong, because this is kind of we gotta dumb it down even more for clients. The way I like to make the analogy everything towards a car, because we are like a car, and when you take molecular hydrogen, so your mitochondria need oxygen and fuel. Fuel would be essential amino acids, fatty acids, glucose, etc.
Except amino acids.
Except amino acids. Okay, whatever. We need nutrients for the cell, for the mitochondria. But as a byproduct, it produces oxygen, which then produces oxidative free radicals. So what molecular hydrogen does, it behaves sort of as the catalytic converter of a car that helps to reduce the carbon monoxide emission into more carbon dioxide and lower harmful emissions, so the system can run better and get the mitochondria running at full power.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and I love that analogy because that's going to modulate the amount of free radicals that are being produced, but it's not going to reduce them completely.
Right.
Because as we just talked about, when we consume more oxygen, we produce more free radicals, and there's a certain percentage that we want that to happen. That's why exercise, you produce more free radicals, right?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. So one of the first free radicals you produce when you take oxygen and you add an electron to it, all right? Because oxygen's right there in the mitochondria, it's supposed to go to complex 4 to make water, but sometimes it receives an electron and you form superoxide radical. That superoxide has very specific signaling effects. And then it's immediately taken care of by some antioxidants like catalase or superoxide dismutase.
Yeah.
And then it forms what? Hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, catalase is the enzyme that forms hydrogen peroxide into water or something.
Yeah, catalase takes care of hydrogen peroxide, but superoxide dismutase takes care of superoxide and converts it, and it can just
because those are free radicals.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, yes, superoxide is a free radical. Hydrogen peroxide is not technically a free radical.
Okay.
That's going into
but the point is free radicals.
But once this happens, it's interesting because how conserved evolution is. Superoxide does its signaling. Then it gets converted to hydrogen peroxide. Then hydrogen peroxide, actually, there's a specific aquaporin or a protein channel that allows hydrogen peroxide to transport through, and it does its signaling. And then, say, catalase or glutathione peroxidase can then get rid of that and convert it to oxygen and water. Right. So there's this entire conserved process is very important. Hydrogen gas allows this to happen, and in some cases, it can actually increase the amount of free radicals. So this is the hormesis response.
Right.
Okay, so you can get a little bit of increase in, say, superoxide production, and that is going to initiate a cascade of very important cytoprotective events in the mitochondria and the rest of the cell, such as your body's natural detoxification and antioxidation systems.
So first of all, it sounds like every time you drink molecular hydrogen, you inhale it or you bathe in it or you IV it, it's bathing your cells with this filtration and modulating effect that's getting rid of the selectively harmful and free radicals and keeping balance within the cell of that oxidative free radical balance that we need with versus pro and anti-inflammatory oxidative radicals, right?
Yeah. So that's the amazing thing, and like the hydroxyl radical is the most damaging. There's no benefit to that one at all, right? And when hydrogen gas reacts with this, you're basically just making water. But other radicals like superoxide or other oxidants like hydrogen peroxide or nitric oxide, which is a free radical, which is important for vasodilation, right? That's a very important free radical. You don't want to neutralize that, right? Hydrogen gas can't do that. So it's not that hydrogen gas just simply chooses and is so smart. We know it can't because based upon thermodynamics and kinetics. And so simply it cannot react with those. It can only react with like the hydroxyl radical.
So it's a paradoxical almost molecule where like Miguel was saying, it kind of cleans out the exhaust, reduces oxidative stress, the kind of like emissions that's coming out of the cell, but at the same time it challenges the cell enough to continue to do what it does, and without
keep it resilient.
To keep resiliency.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's amazing.
It builds resilience. That's one thing. It helps to enhance the resiliency of the cell.
Right.
So it can handle additional stress, whether that's inflammatory stress, oxidative stress, or what have you.
Right. So
it's like a very smart molecule.
Yeah, it's God made.
Yeah, it is the God
made,
molecule.
and it's in everything in the universe.
It's the most abundant molecule
in
as
the
well,
universe.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
It sounds like it's great to use it after working out to reduce or balance out the amount of impact I just had after working out.
But don't you want oxidative stress right after working out?
Yeah, but it's picking selectively the ones that it needs to get rid of.
That's right. That's the key. Exactly.
It's selective. It's a selective antioxidant, in other words.
Yeah.
Molecular hydrogen.
So I usually do it before working out, but it sounds like Miguel was saying it's better to do it after working out.
There's reasons for both, but I would probably say also before. And the reason why before is because then it's almost like a pre-treatment. Because by doing a pre-treatment,
you're more resilient.
Yes, you can be more resilient to excessive oxidative stress. You're also getting the mitochondria up and ready to exert its energy and to metabolize and everything, right?
Yeah, and for all and you can explain the science because I know we went very, very technical, very fast. Like just from the average viewer, Miguel and I do a lot of stuff, right? So it's sometimes it's hard for me to incorporate a new thing in isolation and feel it because there's so many other things that I'm already doing, right? Sure. So it's kind of hard to say, oh, did I get more energy? Did I get more cognition? Did I get stronger? It's kind of hard for me to do that. I can honestly say that molecular hydrogen is one of those compounds where I can definitely feel the effect in isolation where, I've done the inhalation, which is powerful because we went to a conference. I was beat up after the conference. I mean, I'm talking to guys like you all day.
Yeah, all day. The A-frame. You're the A-frame. You're being bombarded.
Yeah. By the time I'm done, I'm super saturated. And I had an event to go to, and we sat down for 30 minutes, and I was like refreshed. It was like a second wind. And I can, in the mornings, I'm like a slow waker upper, if you want to call it that. And it takes me kind of a little while to get warmed up and get into a flow. But I can distinctly feel when I do the molecular hydrogen in the water, and when I take it, it's like, boom, right? Like it's almost like a shot of coffee.